So I'm at the start of this hike, the circular route I found online. So very narrow road up here from the Llangollen road. And the ubiquitous sheep down in the fields there. Rather different wildlife here from Hong Kong. Well, there's definitely some good short scrambles and easy looking climbs here. This wall just up from the start of the trail. And then opposite we see the Castle Dinas Bran. Now it looks like I've come to the part where the trail turns to the right and goes up the Trevor rocks here, so kind of in between two fairly shallow buttresses of rock. And you can see there's a visitor up there. It looks a fairly easy route from here, but we'll see when we get on it. The ground is a little wet though from yesterday's heavy rain. And there's a post here, so beyond this point actually looks flatter. So that part behind was quite fun, but yeah, very easy. Going through a few ferns here. Well, I think that's the end of the Trevor Rocks bypass. And now I think we follow the sheep and turn left there. Now it's a very different scenery up here. Now that we're on top, it's kind of heath, kind of grassland. Now we did get a lovely view from the top here. So I think the place we're going, the World's End, is over there. Now if we move left, I believe over there is the Horseshoe Pass, the famous road where motorcyclists quite often come there. And then over to the left, I think in the far distance there, we may even be able to see into Snowdonia. Not quite sure of the identifications there, but she'll have to have a look later. And then we sweep round. That might be Llangollen down there. And yeah, we've come from over there. Thistles. Lovely blue heather here. Now a gate here, and looks like some sheep have been trying to make it through here. Now there's some nice shape to these escarpments of rocks over to the left, and then the trail kind of winds up there, and I think ahead is a very shallow mountain, which I think is Eglisegg Mountain. Probably not pronouncing it correctly. A plane going somewhere. Hiya.
Afternoon.
Right.
Thank you.
So this is also a bike trail. Now this part, going towards World's End, reminds me of New Zealand, actually. Okay, so just come down this slightly steep grassy slope to a stile, and then we enter what seems a very different world down here. Very dark, secluded woodland. Reminds me a little bit, although the weather conditions, of course, are very different to some riverside trails in Hong Kong. rather spectacular valley. And another small crag down here as well. Plenty of top rope opportunities with those trees above. This actually reminds me a little bit of Yosemite. Yeah, he must have been enjoying himself in this. Yeah. Now a nice spot for a rather late lunch, just beneath this scree slope with a little mini cliff up there. You can actually spot a few small licks of rain now as well, so I think I'd better get out of here and commence the hike back. So, almost at the stile. Some lovely rolling hills over in the distance there. We're actually kind of entering into cliff bands here, so I'll go down here a little bit and just see what this looks like. Oh, no, it does look like a proper path actually. A little steep, but I think it's just going to skirt around. Ooh. Bit of a slope off the right hand side down there, so I have to be quite careful on this fairly narrow path here. And yeah, so we are actually going underneath some cliffs here. Quite an impressive tree here. Now, this would be a lovely place to have a house, I think. Nestled in this lovely valley among lovely fields and farmland. And literally on one's doorstep, you have this band of cliffs. And of course, we're not too far from Snowdonia. There's a rather steeper crag up there. Yeah, so we are on the Offa's Dyke path. It certainly is quite a spectacular path, actually. You know, the path kind of halfway up this scree slope with, yeah, lovely bands of cliffs and these very impressive ones straight up above from where I am now. And looking back where we've come from, we can see how the trail cuts across this scree slope below the impressive cliffs here. Well, I can't resist the chance of doing a little bit of easy scrambling on some of these little cliffs. Now, interesting, there's a notice about climbing restrictions due to the nesting birds. So, obviously there are established climbing routes on these cliffs. Okay, so now it seems we're coming to an ordinary road. Now, basically just off to the left there is the gap in the cliffs where I ascended on the first part of the hike. Okay, so the last detour of the day is this little side trip up to Castle Dinas Bran. So up the ascent. Well, here we are. Hello. And there is Llangollen down there. And way down behind me is the tent for the Eisteddfod, the famous international music festival. So over here is another very good view of the gap in between the cliffs there where I ascended towards the beginning of the hike. And looking towards the east, there is another famous landmark, which is the Poncasilty Aqueduct. So now it's time to say farewell to Castle Dinas Bran and make my way back down to the car. And a rather steep descent on this gravel. Well, I'm back at the car park now, and quite a few more vehicles than when I started. That was an enjoyable and good length, strenuous hike with some spectacular scenery. Now, I'll give a quick overview of the hike in Google Earth. So, zooming in here to North Wales, we can clearly see the route here. So our starting point at the car park, we take this upper path here. There's some of these small early cliffs which I pointed out here. And this is the point at which we go up through this break in the Trevor rocks to reach the upper area. This place here was the location where I gave a survey and identification of some of the faraway peaks further into North Wales and towards Snowdonia. And then we have the rather dull upper section here till we get to World's End. So we can see the lush green area there around World's End, and then just backtracked. And then here is the return path. Now, one section I would like to point out here, which is probably the place where one is most likely to make a mistake in routing on this. So you can just continue up here on this path at the edge, at the top of the cliffs, but if you do that you'll miss those spectacular views of the Offers Dyke path. So you have to turn right down here and go through below the cliffs, and then you'll come to the path which I took some quite spectacular video footage of, going down here through the scree slope. And finally come over here. This is the road section, and the final part of the hike, going up to Castle Dinas Bran, and then the return to the car there. And finally, if anyone would like to repeat this route or a variation, I'll put a link to a GPX file of the route on the description of the video.